Welcome to the Benzo Free Podcast, your home for an honest, straightforward, and personal discussion about anti-anxiety drugs, their effects, and how to deal with dependence and withdrawal. Whether you have taken benzodiazepines, Z drugs, or any other tranquilizers, know someone who has, or you just want help dealing with chronic anxiety and insomnia, this is your podcast. I'm your host, D.E. Foster, author of the book, Benzo Free, The World of Anti-Anxiety Drugs and the Reality of Withdrawal. I'm so glad you joined us today. Please stick around and let me bend your ear for a few minutes. It just might feel a little better on the other side. Hello there, this is D. How you doing? Hopefully you can hear me. Kind of still playing with the audio here, mess up and seeing how things work. Let me bring down my song there. Let me go ahead and kill my delay here. Okay. Hopefully there's somebody out there watching. This is me. How's everybody doing this morning? As you can tell, I'm dressed for the season. I thought I'd put on my ugly sweater since we're probably not having a lot of ugly Christmas sweater parties this year, and thought I'd wear mine for our video this morning. Hope that's okay in case you this should get the full effect here. I got Santa Claus and it really gets crazy. I can do this and I got the whole elf and hat. So yeah, it's kind of silly, but I thought a little silly was good, and so I went with that this morning. Hope you don't mind. Let's see here. Okay, so that's me sharing a screen. Hopefully you all can see that. One of the things I wanted to mention was symptoms. This is actually the Benzo Free website. This is our page on list of possible benzo withdrawal symptoms that we've done. And I've listed about in 14 different categories. 7 are psychological symptoms and 7 are physical symptoms. And this is the way I listed them in my book. And I thought it was a good thing for us to kick off with today and might generate some questions that we can talk about and that kind of thing. The anxiety symptoms, behavioral symptoms, cognitive excitability, perception, sleeping, and social all are part of psychological symptoms. Abdominal, gastrointestinal, ears, eyes, nose, and mouth, heart, head, and neck, heart and lungs, muscular, nerve, and immune and endocrine are part of the physical symptoms. Now, I did use Ashton as a basis for this, although mine slightly varies from her list, but I used her manual as a basis for all that. So that's kind of how that came to be, just so you know. And I kind of, if you go to the website here, you can see at benzofree.org, you can see each one has a drop down and has all the different subcategory ones within. So under anxiety, we have generalized anxiety, hypochondria, panic attacks, paranoid thoughts, phobias, the same under each one of these. So it's kind of an accordion thing here, and you can see what the different ones are. And I thought this is a good thing to talk about, is the number of symptoms and what are the possible symptoms and of benzo withdrawal, because that's something I get a lot in emails and conversation from you. And I think it's something good to talk about. So let's go look here and see if we got any comments here. Paul said, D, what are your thoughts on the new COVID vaccine and anxiety? Ooh, I like that one, Paul. All right. Yeah, so Paul, I can't put his comment up there, so let me read it to you. What are your thoughts on the new COVID vaccine and anxiety issues for taking it, safe, or any effect adversely with withdrawal issues? Any insight, knowledge for this mix? Wow. Wow, great one. This one could maybe take up the rest of our episode, but I think it's a great conversation. And please, anybody else on chat, give me your take on it too. I would love to see it, and I'll read some of them online here since I can't seem to bring them up on graphically on the screen. Good question. I don't know. I go back and forth on this a lot. Let's just start with the vaccine in general, minus withdrawal. In general, it's a vaccine. I know it's the 2 that are out now, I believe, are using an RNA sequencing, and it's a new technology. It seems pretty safe. At the same point, so did benzos when they came out, and so do a lot of drugs and a lot of vaccines. It's hard to know. I think the consequences of not having it are pretty steep, because this is a dangerous virus, just depending on your take on it. I do know people that have died of it, and it's been really bad, so I've seen it firsthand. Um, so I think we need something. I'm glad there's something out. I know that's kind of hard to deal with, to figure out how to take this. But for me, I'm kind of glad I'm not a first person to receive it, but I'll still probably get the vaccine. But that's my personal choice. Some people have strong opinions about vaccines, and I get that too. But I think there's some benefit here, and I do think it's one of our few solutions for what's going on. So I probably will go get the vaccine. That's my personal take. Some people have issues with vaccines, and I get that. But from what I've read, I think it's relatively safe. It's gone through trials, and I think it's good. Might there be long-term consequences from it? Sure. We don't know. Until we have had a medicine or vaccine in our bodies long-term, we don't know what the long-term effects. That was, again, one of the problems with benzos, is that they only evaluated people for 6 months, 9 months, even 18 months at the max. So they never mentioned protracted withdrawal because they never tested long enough for it, because they didn't think that that was something that would happen. And we now know it does. The second part, for those of us in withdrawal and dependence and the vaccine, I think it's possible. It could complicate our withdrawal. It could aggravate. We found a lot of things, antibiotics, certain foods. We all know stress and anxiety. So many different things, substances, vitamins even, magnesium, certain things can aggravate our withdrawal. And we found this. It is individual. Each person is different. I believe that I think the vaccine is needed, and I will probably get it. But you need to decide for yourself. I cannot tell you that there will be no complications with benzo withdrawal in the vaccine. I don't know. This very well might kick off a wave if it hits you. It has some symptoms, and those symptoms, even the anxiety of those symptoms, could kick off a wave. Sometimes it's not even the vaccine itself. It's just our thought of getting it. That fear can kick off a wave on its own. So I guess all this to say, I don't know. But please keep in mind that I am not a medical professional, and none of this is medical advice. Okay? This is just my opinion. You need to work this out with your physician, with your medical care support team, and decide for yourself what's right for you. Let's see what comments we got here. Paul wrote back and said, I think I'm gun shy on any meds now. Even if it works, it's been turned out, as most of us have been, and scared a bit. And we have been scared a bit. And again, I think that fear is part of our problem. The fear, and even Ashton mentioned this in her manual. She says it's and I'm paraphrasing, but the fear of the fear is often one of the biggest problems, because that fear kicks off our anxiety, which kicks off symptomatology. See, I know the actual word now. It's symptomatology, not symptomology. But it does kick off that symptomatology sometimes. So it is really difficult for us to know if a certain substance or medicine or something like that is kicking off our actual wave, or if it's the thought of something different. One of the things I noticed with my gastrointestinal problems, and I've had these my whole life, they got really bad during withdrawal, and they're actually better now. But it's funny because there are certain foods that set me off. Chocolate is one of them. And sometimes certain vitamins and other stuff can kick off my stomach problems. I have noticed myself thinking of eating chocolate or in the grocery store and seeing something, and my stomach kicks into gear. No food entered my system. No substance entered. It was the thought of that substance and reactions I've had in the past that kicked that off. I think noticing that is really key for us, because that mind-body connection, that is so much more connected than we ever thought it was. Our minds are extremely powerful, and they can cause a lot of problems. So while sometimes I think outside substances, as the vaccine and other ones, can kick off problems with our withdrawal, sometimes we also attribute our symptoms to that substance or vaccine or something else when it was actually the fear of it that kicked off the problem. So Pam piped in here, says, my husband was diagnosed with COVID 2 weeks ago. I will get the vaccine. We were separated for 10 days. He's much better today. Pam, I'm so glad Lee's back home again. Pam has been sharing this with me, and I've been chatting with Pam back and forth. I know that he was quarantined for a while, and he just came home, I think, yesterday or the day before. And so glad to see he's home. So Lee, welcome home. And Pam, I know you're glad to have him back home again. Pam and Lee are awesome supporters of this channel, best friends, great people. So I just got to put that out there. They're just amazing people, as is Paul, who's piping in here too. And Ann, all these people are people who have been with me for a long time and are wonderful. And I appreciate that. But where was I? Oh, back on Pam's. I don't want to come down too strong on absolutely get the vaccine or absolutely don't, because this is a very divisive issue. It's kind of a political issue. And as you know, I steer totally away from politics on this channel. You got to do what's right for you. I know, and I've seen the effects of this virus, and it can be pretty bad. I also have some neighbors and friends who are healthcare workers who, have said, just spend one day in the ICU ward and you're going to know quickly how serious this is. And I get that. For me, I'll get the vaccine when it comes time for me, because I want to be able to see my parents. I don't want to give this to them. They are of ill health, and I don't know that they survive it. So yeah, I'm going to be careful. But everybody has different beliefs on this, and I'm not about to come down and say, hey, it's this way or that way. That's okay. Anyway, so it's great to get that feedback. Paul's taken off on the stomach issue, it looks like, and says, D, my stomach issues have been directly related to stress and some food. I hate the stomach issues. I do too. I have, as I mentioned in my book, and I think on the podcast before, had chronic stomach problems since I was 6 months old. Actually, I was allergic to milk, my mom's breast milk, when I was born. Didn't know why I was so violently ill for a long time. It took a long time for them to figure out why I was so violently ill. That may have caused some of my problems. And then finally they got me on a substitute milk. Had my first upper GI at 6 months, my first pre-ulcer condition at 5 years old. So been born and raised with this. What's funny is, after my experience with benzos and coming off of them, I'm actually now stomach medication free. I know, it's weird. My experience with benzos and going through benzo withdrawal, well, it got worse for a while. It really got worse. Now, actually, I think it's a little better. I think I'm better than I was even before. It's kind of funny. But we all know that abdominal issues are a huge one. The most downloaded episode of the podcast is the one on benzo belly. And that tells me something. That tells how consistent that is. We've seen pictures of abdominal distension and how bad that is. For those who have had that, I've had a little bit of it. It's not fun. And just the chronic stomach problems. It is crazy, and it's serious. And sometimes it is caused by substances. I totally agree. And sometimes it's caused by our mind. I totally agree. So figuring that out is a difficult balance. Anne piped in and said, cute hat. Thank you, Anne. I'm going all Christmassy here today. So for those who are listening to this in the podcast after the fact, I have a Santa's hat on, and I have a ugly Christmas sweater on that has a picture of Santa Claus on the front, so that it's like my head, and then I have the hat. And anyway, it's got a nice hood too. That's really fun. But thanks, Anne. It's good to hear from you. Anne says, get the vaccine. I hear you with you. I'm with you. Jeannie, hey Jeannie, air hunger is the bane of my existence. Yes, Jeannie, I've been writing with Jeannie, another amazing gal. I've been writing with her for a while now. Jeannie, air hunger is a tough one. Our breathing is affected by benzo withdrawal. We know that, and it's a major problem for many of us. I did wake up gasping during my worst days. I woke up, just in a fitful panic that I couldn't get a breath. I always did. I always got one back, but it was horrific. And that was mild compared to some people. Air hunger is very difficult for people, and just breathing issues in general. And there's a lot of them that are associated with benzo withdrawal. But I have yet to hear of anybody dying of them. I have yet to hear of anybody, having really serious complications. It is aggravating, but we do get through it. Our bodies kick in and we get through it, and it seems to work okay. So, but these symptoms, this is what we're talking about here, these different symptoms. Lenore wrote in and said, on one of your podcasts, I think, you mentioned Kefir. Yes, we're back to stomach issues. Great. I started drinking Kefir, or Kefir. Yes, I looked into how to pronounce this when I was doing my research on it. Let me tell you a little bit about it. Kefir is actually the official pronunciation. It's a Turkish word. But in the States, we sometimes say Kefir and we sometimes say Kefir. I fell on Kefir. I don't know why. But it's basically a probiotic drink. It's fermented. Not alcoholic, fermented. It's 99% lactose free. Most of them, there's some that are 100% lactose free. So for those of us like myself who have lactose problems, it's great. I did drink Kefir and I felt like it really helped me. But I think some people, it may aggravate too. Again, I'm not recommending it. I'm just telling you what happened with me. But Kefir milk did seem to settle. I think it helped, with the probiotics. I think it helped create the bacterial balance in my digestive system that I needed. But I kept drinking it for a long time as I was feeling better. And then I think it was causing problems later on. I'm not sure. And so I stopped drinking it, and then I felt even better. So I think Kefir got me through some of the hard parts of it. Now I do a yogurt now and then, and I do that kind of stuff, and I don't drink Kefir regularly. So again, I think it's a hit and miss. But if you're really desperate and you're looking for something to try, maybe it's something you try. But this is also not me recommending anything. Pam said Kefir is awesome. So great, Pam. I'm glad. I know other people have found it to be helpful. I thought it really, I think of any food or substance that I added for my stomach issues, it was the one that helped the most. So, Paul's got to step away for a bit. Great. And let's see. Oh yeah, Anne again feels like she can't catch back to breathing. The air hunger, can't catch her breath. This is common. And I just talked about it briefly, and I don't think anything, especially with COVID going on, because it's also a breathing illness. Few things are more frightening than not being able to breathe, than not being able to find that next breath. I mean, it's just sheer panic. I know what you mean, and it's crazy. And I wish I knew a solution. I do think, as with any symptom, especially any serious symptom, please get checked out by your doctor. If you don't have a physician to work with, go find one that will work with you. It doesn't have to be a benzo wise doctor. Just somebody who believes you and will work with you. Okay. But I think these are the things that need to get checked out, because sometimes our symptoms, not often, but sometimes our symptoms are not benzo related. And last thing we need to do is to have what we think are benzo symptoms masking some serious condition. So get checked out. But once you're checked out and you realize you're clean, as most of us have at some point, then realize that, hey, it's okay. I'm now clean there. So now I can settle back on benzo symptoms and work on those. Steve, hey, Steve wrote in, my buddy Steve from Iowa. Thanks for all you are doing for all of us, and yourself, Steve. It's great to see you, buddy. Yeah, Steve's been a great guy. Chatted with him several times, and good friend up in Iowa. I have two Steves I work with. I mentioned this the other day. There's Dr. Steve, which is Dr. Stephen Wright. He's been on our show. He's an addiction medical specialist, and I work with him on a few different committees and stuff. Great guy. And then Steve from Iowa. The reason why I thought it was funny was I have to tell my wife, it's like, well, Iowa Steve, or I say Dr. Steve, and that's how I differentiate the two. So anyway, Steve, great to see you. And says sighing is an issue. It's interesting. Yeah. Almond Kefir is possible. I didn't know almond had Kefir. That's pretty cool. And Diane Stein wrote in here. I struggle knowing if my stomach problems are really stomach problems, such as gastritis, or if the symptoms are from withdrawal. I think every one of us can relate to that, Diane. I really do. I know. I still, God, I am a little over 6 years benzo free. I've been dealing with benzo and withdrawal, since I first found out that I was dependent for 7.5 years. So, and I still don't know. I get used to things and I kind of assume things are benzo related. But I still don't know what's really a benzo symptom. And my akathisia, pretty sure about that. The formication, the spiders crawling on my face, pretty sure that's benzo related. These are things I never had before. I know these are caused by the withdrawal and complications I had during my withdrawal. And I still have those. The tinnitus, I had a little bit before, or tinnitus, depending on how you want to pronounce it. But it's also clearly affected by benzo withdrawal. My stomach problems, I never had the degree of stomach problems that I had during benzo withdrawal before. So clearly, I would say 95% of the symptoms that I think might be benzos were benzo related, but there's a few that probably weren't. Is it benzo withdrawal or COVID? Good question, Anne, especially with the air hunger. Got to see your doctor. Go visit a physician. Get it checked out. Don't delay in seeking medical support or advice. And don't ever substitute what I talk about here for medical advice. I know I'm supposed to say that, but I also believe it. We do still need physicians as our partners to help us through this. We have symptoms and we need to know what's going on. Go get checked out, get tested, and make sure that you're okay. That's important. Melanie mentioned still air hunger at 3 a.m. is my latest trend. Oh man, 3 a.m. And Anne's agreeing. Melanie and Anne are dealing with air hunger is nothing's worse. I mean, now you got insomnia on top of it because you're waking up, panic, you can't breathe, you can't get back to sleep. You got insomnia on top of it. The anxiety's building. It's causing that that vicious cycle effect. I had that too. I mean, there were times when I woke up, I was so panicked from that gasping reflex that I had that I was done sleeping for the night. I was afraid to go back to sleep because I was afraid I was going to wake up and gasp again. Good news about that, and I know this is frightening to some people, but the good news about that is that for me, that was very temporary. I mean, for most people, the severe air hunger is temporary and doesn't last too long. I have not had that symptom in years, okay? That one completely is gone for me. It is short-lived, I'm hoping for most people. And we get through it. But God, it scares the hell out of you. And I feel for y'all. I'm so sorry. Anne wrote back in and said, yes, I agree. Oh, this is fun talking with you guys. And I really enjoy it. I am unfortunately looking on the screen. I got to chat with you for a second because Anne said, thanks for all you do for us. Merry Christmas. Today is church day, so going up to church, that's great. I don't know. This is where I need your feedback because figure out how to advertise these things. I realize it's Saturday morning. A lot of people probably can't take the time off. I know Paul had to run off and do something. He has some work today. Looks like Anne has church day and needs to step away. Anne, great to see you. Thanks for piping in. I really appreciate you being on here. But I look down here and I know Anne's about to jump off. There's 3 watching this video. Yes, 3 people. Last one we did had 16, and I was hoping maybe for 20 or so this time. I just got to say to those 3 people, wow, thank you. Because without you, it would have been just me rambling on about absolutely nothing. The weird thing with the last one was we got like 100 plus, maybe 150 views of it after the fact. It's just not a lot of people were on for the live chat. And I don't know. I'm okay with it. I don't mind. There's only 3 people. We're going to have a great conversation here. They will come next time. Thanks, Anne. This is a good time for, Lenore wrote in, this is a good time for living in Denmark. Not sure what you're saying there. So Lenore, add a little more to it. But anyway, I just want to say those 3 people, thank you for watching and for providing me feedback and commenting. Yes, I was expecting more. I try to advertise it. I think I got to do better at that. I'm still not sure what I'm doing wrong. And maybe the live chats aren't the thing to do. So maybe we'll do something different. Only time will tell. But if you're listening to this on a podcast later on, or watching it on YouTube after the live event, or even watching it now, let me know, please, because I'd like to know if these are useful, and if they are, how to get more people involved in the live chat. I'm not taking it personally. I realize I'm still working on the how I promote things. Also, this is a brand new channel. This is the Benzo Free channel we're on now. We have 27 subscribers, which is great because we just started it. We have, what do we have? 240 on easing anxiety. So we're climbing up there good. And I realize that we're just kind of breaking into it. But I just wanted to say thank you to those who piped in, who are watching. I really appreciate it. In fact, those 3 watching now, one of them might even be my wife, because she brought, actually it's not, because she brought, actually one of those is my wife. Oh, I'm rambling on. I have her laptop in front of me to read these, so one of those is me. But yeah, and love to you all, love to you too, and please go to church. I really appreciate you being on here. Thank you so much. Go. It was great having you. Lenore said it is 5:33 p.m. in Denmark, so time-wise fits her schedule. That's why. And that may be part of the problem. That is actually one of the reasons why I did this as a morning, because I knew people in Europe could then be part of it in the afternoon. And that was something I got some feedback on. So that's why I was trying a morning. But maybe the evenings were better. Maybe we do a little of both. And maybe we don't do the live events and we stick with the podcast. I know I've put a lot out there lately. The easing anxiety direction, which I know some of the people in the Benzo community aren't as fond of, and I get that. But I needed to expand the base a little bit, and there are people who are really enjoying the anxiety content. But I'm still figuring this out, and I'm still trying to figure out how to make this go and happen and work and keep at it, and I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. But your feedback is essential, because without that, I don't know what you want. And that's all I'm trying to do, is provide content and support for y'all. The Benzo community got me here and is absolutely the community that I support, and I love them. But I also wanted to focus on some general anxiety problems and people too, because my thinking is this: if we can help people with general anxiety problems deal with their problems, then they may not take a benzodiazepine and prevent this whole problem in the first place. That would be cool. So I'm hoping we can make a difference both places, but it does spread me thin sometimes, and sometimes I go off in tangents that may not work, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm good with that. Anne piped in. Anne Frante. Hi, Anne. What bothers me is how symptoms pop up for no reason. Been benzo free for 18 months. Oh, Anne. Yeah, I have a few Anns that have communicated with me. So Anne Franti piped in and said, yeah, it's crazy, because I do too. I mean, I know. I don't know that there's a cause. I can tell sometimes when something's going to come on, because sometimes when my anxiety state really comes up, I can tell I'm going to hit a wave afterwards. But sometimes the physiological, if it's the right word, sensation, that pressure, comes up first. And then I notice it affecting my mood and my anxiety. And so I think sometimes it starts psychologically and sometimes it starts physiologically. And sometimes I have no clue. I just think it's a healing process that doesn't have a lot of rhyme or reason, except that slowly, very slowly, it eases and it gets better with time. I can attest to that, and most people who have been at this a really long time will attest to that too. Lenore said thank you. For scheduling these so we can get Europe too. And Pam Writing said congratulations. So, these are I love these chats, so I'm probably going to try to keep going. I just need to find a better way of scheduling them, getting people involved, and having people online. But I just have to thank the people who are online. Thank you so much, because otherwise I would have looked into the Ashton manual and started reading it from scratch live here. So I had something to talk about. we talked about abdominal, digestive, and we talked about the air hunger a little bit. Let's talk about some other odd symptoms. If you got one you'd like to talk about, let me know on the chat. I want to talk a little bit about, let's see here. I'm looking now at the screen here. Let me bring that up here. We have symptoms over here like the ear, eyes, nose, and mouth, the head and neck, heart and lungs. We just talked about some of those. Heart palpitations and stuff go in there. Muscular symptoms. The muscular ones are a good one. I get a lot on this one. I don't know if you can read that. It's probably too small for you to see it. Can I zoom in and bring it up to the screen? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Hey, that's better. This is what I have on the web page on muscular symptoms. One of the things that we talk about a lot, and I'm going to keep rambling even though comments have kind of died out because I know some people had to leave, but I'm going to keep this going to an hour, and it may just be me talking, and that's okay because when I do the podcast, it's just me talking into a recorder, so it's not a whole lot different. But I don't know. It's interesting with the muscular symptoms because benzos are also, of course, as many of us know, excellent muscle relaxants. And sometimes they're prescribed for that. So we have that double whammy on our muscles, and that is we've lost that muscle relaxant that we were taking. And also, we also have, of course, the neurological damage, the damage to our nerve endings, which are how we communicate with the muscles. So we have two things going on here, and it's really hard to figure out, how that's working. And so muscles locking up, my head, my neck. I know pelvic floor dysfunction, even though I list that under abdominal, it's also a muscle symptom because it's our pelvic floor muscle that can be part of the problem, and that aggravates everything else in that region. But our muscle symptoms are key, and those are ones that so many have written into me talking about being locked up, getting muscle. I pulled muscles, I tore muscles. I was in PT for certain things, and they were pushing it too far. I was exercising, and I pushed it too far, and I'm a big fan of exercise during benzo withdrawal within reason. You got to listen to your body and don't push yourself too hard because you can hurt yourself. Our muscles are recovering just like our nervous system is from this. When you have, muscles in our body that have been chemically relaxed for years, they take a long time to recover. And it shows in so many different areas. So that's something I think really to pay attention to. Pam said, grateful for any information we can get, and still have 3 people watching. I'm hanging on there with 3 people watching, so that's great. I feel like it's this really, small chat room, and it's great having that. Let's move on to a different one here, since, I wanted to have things to talk about this time, so I'm going to bring up nerve sensations a little bit. Nerve sensations are another key one. I don't know who else out there has gotten the formication, the paresthesia. This one stuck with me a long time on my forehead. I have on the left side of my face, for a long time, I had spiders. And I still get them occasionally, not nearly as much. And I'm used to them now when I get them, so it's not a big deal. But boy, they bugged the hell out of me for a long time. I know a lot of people get tingling in the skin, get needle pricks, all kinds of nerve sensations throughout there. It could be burning, tingling, pins and needles, numbness, electrical impulses. And I get people writing me about this, and it's a tough one. Again, that can also feed the insomnia, just like the air hunger, because how do you sleep when you got things poking at you? And again, as everything else, it does ease with time. But these are the symptoms that cause so many problems. And ones that I kind of want to bring up every now and then because there's so many different symptoms that other people haven't experienced. Or, you can be 2 years out and get a brand new symptom you never had before. That happened to me. I had one of those. What was it? No, not benzo brain, because I'm having that right now. What was the one that came on recently? Oh, yeah, TMJ, my jaw. And I think that's actually more a muscle related injury. But TMJ is one that came on recently. And it was scary because I never had that before. And it might not have been benzo related. It's possible. It could have just been, but it's got to be benzo related in the long run. Even if it's not directly related to withdrawal, it is related to the tension and anxiety and stress I feel because that causes me to grind my teeth. And that then leads into, the muscles tightening up and relaxing sometimes too, and causing popping of the jaw, which is TMJ for those who don't know. It's that popping of the jaw. And I had that, but the good news is it lasted only about a week and it's gone now. I don't know why, but it's gone. It came and went. And I do think there's something to experience in benzo withdrawal. The people I hear from the most initially are those who are in the beginning stages because they're freaking out. They're freaking out because this is such a new thing. It's so bizarre. It's so frightening, painful. And I get it. I was one of those people. But after you've had, 50, 60, 70 symptoms, you start to take them more casually. Because you know it's going to come and you know it's going to go. And you know that you're going to get through this. It's not going to kill you. It's going to be uncomfortable, maybe for a while, annoying, whatever, but you're going to get through it. And that carries on and that moves you through things. And it's something important to realize. So I don't know. I rambled on there and lost my train of thought. Pam wrote in and said, it does get better. Melanie wrote in and says it says 9 people watching for me. Oh, cool. Maybe I have to refresh the screen. Should I do that? I don't know. I don't want to lose things. Let me refresh the screen. Let's see what happens. Hey, I got 9 people, 8, but now 8 people. Cool. Thank you. Thank you, Melanie. I appreciate that update. So, hey, that's much better. I feel like there's a crowd out there. This massive crowd of people. Oh, it's great. I love it. And, if I had just one person and I was just chatting with one person, me, I would be happy. I would be, because when I email with you, when we're talking, that's what this is. This is very personal. It's very intimate. It's one-on-one. And I'm good with that. I'm good with that. If I can help one person at a time find a better way to get through their withdrawal experience, I'm golden. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Lenore mentioned, for no reason at all, I get pain in my head, neck, and shoulders, and that feeds my anxiety. God, it does, doesn't it? I do too. The random pains. That is a great one, Lenore. I get them all over my body. And the chest was always fun. That I also think for me was costochondritis, and that's tied into the muscle issues we talked about. So I had muscle pain in my chest all the time. And of course, that led me to several EKGs and a few ER visits. But I get the random pains. I get pains all throughout my body. Head and neck are, as humans, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, we carry our stress primarily in 2 areas. One is the head, neck, and shoulders. And 2, I can't point to because off camera, and I shouldn't anyway, but it's the pelvis. We carry our stress in those 2 areas. And that makes sense that those are the areas that the muscles are going to be tighter, more stressed, and also have the more reaction to the neurological damage and the muscle damage, not damage, but the muscle effects from a long-term muscle relaxant. So it makes sense that we're going to get that pain in those areas. My not advice, because I don't give advice, but what I do in this regard is stretching. I found a key, but you got to be careful with the stretching too. But it is important. I think it's essential. When I was in PT for some of my stuff, I did too much stretching and started to pull things. And I did that with the chest, with the costochondritis, which is pulling apart of the muscles across the rib cage. Here, so you can see like that. It's like that with the ribs, with the muscles. And so I had to bring that back. And so this one stretch on a foam roll that my PT was showing me, with the arms going back, was too much for me. And it was causing more problems. So then she showed me another one called the open book. And I now do that one regularly. And that one was milder. So what I'm trying to say here is, with our muscles, we have to learn to adjust. We have to find ways to adjust, adjust our exercise, adjust our stretching, adjust our how we move and everything to our limitations. But it doesn't mean giving up. We still need to exercise. We still need to stretch, and stretching, I think, is key. Our muscles need that. Also, massage. I went regularly to massage. I know not everybody can afford this, but sometimes you can get it handled through through. Oh, my wife she's listening. She's going to hate this because I should know these terms with benefits. She's a benefits expert. So, but through your own medical plans or through your own healthcare reimbursement types of things, sometimes you can get those reimbursed. But I found massage to be essential during my withdrawal because it helped to alleviate a lot of that pain. It helped to loosen up the muscles, to keep it, limber between that and stretching. It was really important. So that's a good one there. Steve wrote and said, Steve wrote and said, the crowd is screaming DTD. Thank you, Steve. You made me laugh. I love it. He always makes me laugh. Steve sends me jokes on chat on my phone, and I love it. So it's great. I try to send ones back and forth, but he's the joke meister. And I tell you, that's one thing I wanted to mention here. And then Pam, I'll read yours in a second. Is levity. Oh God, and that's one of the reasons why I did this today. That's one reason I'm wearing a crazy Christmas sweater and an elf hat, or Santa hat, whatever you want to call it, is because with COVID, with benzos, with everything going on, I don't want my wife's laptop here to go silent because that's how I'm seeing your things. With all the stuff going on, there's no time in our lives, I think, in maybe our generation's lives, that we need levity more. We need humor. We need lightness. We need to allow ourselves to enjoy things. When I saw this in my closet this morning, I was getting ready to put on something more conservative. And I thought, because that's what I should do. And then I saw this, I'll put that on. And I realized, no, I shouldn't do that because that's not right. And this is a serious topic, but that is the pit I fell in. And I think some of you have done that too, because I've talked to you about this. And that is our willingness and our ability to allow ourselves to have joy, laughter, happiness, levity during this time. I can't tell you the number of times something good would happen or I would feel good. But in my brain, I had this switch that clicked and it said, oh, no, stop. You can't feel good right now because this is going on, or because this is going to happen, or because you're in the middle of withdrawal. And it took a lot of reading in all the books that I read and a lot of thinking and introspection to realize, you idiot. Why wouldn't you cling to every bit of hope and happiness and humor and fun that you could? In fact, embrace it and bring it in. And it changed my thinking. And now I get that shiver up my spine like something happy is happening, or I have a happy thought. And I cling to it. I embrace it. And I grab a hold and I hold on to it and I try to squeeze as much joy out of it as I can. But for a long, long time, I didn't allow myself to do that. And that's something I think important to remember, and especially this time of year. For those who don't feel they can enjoy the holidays, or those who don't feel they can, let themselves have joy, feel good, sing Christmas carols, whatever it is, or Hanukkah, or whatever you're celebrating this time of year. Allow yourself to do that. You need every positive thing in your life. Doesn't mean positive. I don't mean ignoring the negative. We got to deal with that too. But I think it's important for us to allow that levity into our lives. Let's see here. Pam wrote in and says, my hands and feet tingled during the first months of withdrawal. It was very unsettling, yes, because my brain goes to worst case. God, we do that, don't we? But it's been 20 months benzo free. So grateful every day. Thanks, Pam. Yeah, that's where our brains go. It's that irrational brain that takes over in benzo withdrawal, and we know it's worst case scenario with everything we get. Don't do a restart. I don't want you to restart. My wife's laptop wants to restart. Kate wrote in and says, Shanna here. Darren's right. Oh, what's my wife someplace else? You can get massage covered. Hey, it's my wife writing in. Shanna here. Okay. You can get massage covered under your flexible spending account or health savings account if you have one. Great advice. Thank you. She says, you'll need a script from your doctor. Just ask your doc to write a script for massage for something generic, like stress and muscle tightness, so it covers all body parts. Hey, well, that's my wife. That's Shanna, everybody. She just piped in on our chat. She's on some other computer, so it says Kate Dickerson on there. So, but I'm guessing that's my wife because honestly, and I'm gonna, talk her up plenty, and I will always, but for a lot of reasons. But also, I think there's few people in this country that know as much about benefits as my wife does. She is one of the people that writes benefits materials for corporations. She knows this stuff inside and out. So, been a great resource. Tracy wrote in and said, hello, D from Cali, overslept. Hey, Tracy, it's good to see you. Oh, Merry Christmas to you too. Thank you, friend. Thank you, friend. Thank you for being there. It's great. Oh, Tracy, it's good to see you. Tracy's another one of those ones who I've written to several times and had great conversations. Oh, no, Steve wrote in. Oh, you may have seen this already. Why did the pianist keep banging? I got to tell the joke right. Hang on. Why did the pianist keep banging the side? God, I can't read him. The side of his head against the keys. Okay, why did the pianist keep banging? I totally ruined it. Sorry, Steve. Why did the pianist keep banging his head on the side of his head on the keys? He was playing by ear. Wow. See, everybody right now is suddenly realizing why D is not a comic. But great joke, Steve. Poorly read. But thank you. This is the kind of stuff Steve sends me. And they're corny and they're funny and they're great. This is the time of year for us to remember joy. And especially if we're in benzo withdrawal or still dealing with those effects, because we need that in our lives. We really need that. I do believe that when we stay trapped in that misery all the time, 24/7, we're digging that pit. We're doing it to ourselves. And if you can start, putting little footholds in that pit and start just climbing out one step at a time, things start to get better. That's how I got out. That's how I got to here wearing some crazy sweater, talking on a camera, even though I had a little anxiety when I do these live events, but doing it anyway. And making a new career out of working with people with anxiety and benzo withdrawal. I found joy. I've made my joy out of this. We all can make our own joy. See it out there, find it around you, go create it, and embrace it and hang on to it. Because we need it. We really need it. Oh, it's getting close. We got about 4 minutes left here. I usually wrap this up right after we start. And since we had a slow start, I'll probably wrap this up here at the end. But just trying to think of other things I want to talk about. Tracy said, love the sweater. Tell Shanna she's the best. I will tell her. I know she's watching. So Shanna, you're the best. And she is. She is my partner. It's funny because when COVID hit, I just want to mention this quickly. When COVID hit, I know so many people are having so many problems, especially people with children at home and have to homeschool and work, and people who can't see family or can't see friends or can't travel. This has been intense for a lot of people. It's been really hard. And really hard on most people. It's been hard on us, but not nearly as hard on most people because my wife and I, we were already kind of COVID people anyway. We both work from home. It's just Shanna and me and Bear, our dog, if you don't know who Bear is. And we spend most of our lives at home. So we got used to this. We found a way to work. I work in the basement at my desk. She works upstairs in another office. We meet for lunch. We meet for dinner. And we socialize in the evening together between the two of us, watch a movie or play a game. It's quiet. So when COVID hit, it wasn't that much different for us. And that made things a little easier. So I'll admit that. This hasn't been as hard on us as it has been on some people.
especially when you have children or elderly you're taking care of. This is really hard. My sister and my oldest nephew back in Kansas City are helping to take care of my parents. And that has been one of the problems here because I'd like to go see them, and I'm being careful about that because they're high risk. So, but what I'm trying to get back to is Shanna and I have been here in the house for a long time, and our marriage is stronger than ever. And not everybody that has happened to. Not everybody has happened to. And that's tough. I know the COVID and benzo withdrawal both can have a negative effect on relationships. And I feel for people who have gone through that. I've had many of you write into me and talk to me about that. And I don't have a lot of advice because I don't have as many of those problems. Do we have issues? Sure, we do sometimes. But I married my best friend. I'm on a tear, and I'm not going to do that. I almost got a tear saying that. And you notice how I do that? I get a tear in my eye, and then the masculine side of me kicks in, and I laugh. That's my cover. But I love my wife, and it's amazing to have such a wonderful partner who's got me through all this. So thank you, hon. I love you. She wrote in. She says, "Oh, thanks, Tracy." She wrote, "I appreciate you supporting Dee's channel." Yes, it's been wonderful for him to connect and help others. Tracy wrote, "You definitely need to teach a caregiver's class." I love that idea. Shanna, how did you have the patience and know-how? You know what? We're going to get Shanna back on here. Let's get her on the channel. Let's do a live chat with her, have her on there. She did, for those who don't know, Shanna, my wife, wrote an entire chapter in my book called For the Caregiver. I asked her to do that, and she sat down and wrote it. And since she's a professional writer, she's pretty good at this stuff. And we also did a podcast episode. Go back and listen to that one. It's called Conversation with the Caregiver. It just came out on our YouTube channel. So on the Benzo Free YouTube channel. So please go check that one out. To find all this stuff, don't forget, you can always go to our website at easinganxiety.com. That's where everything is. I've refreshed the homepage a little bit now. So if you go there, in fact, here, I'll show you real quick because I can do that. Here we go. If you go to our homepage now at easinganxiety.com, you'll see what it looks like the same at the top. But if you scroll down a little bit, I now have two links here. One is the About Us page so people can learn more, and also the welcome video. That's that one I did that's on the Easing Anxiety channel. And right here, we always have our latest content. These three will be whatever's most recent going on. You see, here's the Benzo Mornings with Dee, our welcome video I just posted, and our guided relaxation. And then I also have a new search bar right here, and this will search the entire site. That means all of our content, except some of the older podcast episodes that I'm still moving over, but everything else is on there. So type in some keywords and go find what you're looking for. Okay, last thing from Lenore here. She said, "I'm not even halfway finished with my tapering off Xanax, but because of Dee and Dee's book, Benzo Free, I am no longer afraid of tapering or of any of the symptoms. I am forever thankful." Okay, Lenore, thank you. Lenore is another one of those amazing people who I've been writing to for some time now. Your emails, they're awesome. I just love that conversation with you all. If you haven't written in and you'd like to say hi, please do. I respond still to every email, to every feedback form at easinganxiety.com/feedback. I reply to every one of them, every comment I see. I'm still able to reply to every single one. And so please, if you haven't reached out, do so. I would love to hear from you and hear where you're at. If you want to share your story for the podcast, I would love to hear that too. But Lenore, that's the kind of stuff. I read those emails like that in the morning, and people say that to me sometimes. And I don't know, it makes life worthwhile. If I'm in the least helping somebody get through this, which is, I think, the hardest thing for many of us that we'll ever experience in our lives. For many of us, that's the case. And I can help a little bit in that regard, then it makes my experience with benzos worthwhile. It means it mattered.
And it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good. Oh, I'm going to close this out. We hit an hour. And I just want to say thank you to Tracy and Steve and Ann and Pam and Lenore. And who am I missing? I shouldn't say this unless I'm, talking to everybody. But who else was on there? Shanna, my wife, of course. And the other Ann, both Anns, and Melanie. And everybody, that Jeannie, thank you. And Paul, of course. Paul typed it at the beginning and he had to take off. But thank you to everybody for this was a success. I really appreciate this. I'm hoping to do more of these. I'm hoping to advertise them more. Please write me, send me an email, whatever. Let me know if you liked this or if you didn't, or how I should advertise it, or how we're going to go forward with things. But from Easing Anxiety and Benzo Free, I would like to wish you and yours a very happy holiday. The best of the season. Be safe, take care of yourself. But don't be afraid to enjoy the season. Add a little levity to your life. Add a little joy to your life. Let that soak in a bit, and your symptoms might just get a little better. With love from me, take care. I'll see you later. Bye. I can't tip my hat. I'm trying to tip my hat and I don't have the rim to tip my hat. Oh, I'll see you later. On that note, I'll see you later. Take care, everybody.